Farm. Welcome to another in a series of live streams from the Jollity Farm Cultural Center and Curiosity Shop. Tonight, pianist Malcolm Kogut and singing sybarite Byron Nilsson present Songs That Are Worse Than the Disease, a program of material designed to lift your spirits provided you've lowered your expectations. And now, please enjoy Songs That Are Worse Than the Disease.
It was the flu pandemic, and it swept the whole world wide. It caught soldiers and civilians, and they died. Whether lying in a trench or only lying in a bed, 20 million of them got it, and they're dead. There was a soldier on the battleground in 1917. He turned there to his buddy with a face of ghastly green. He said, "We made it both through Passchendaele, the Somme and Flanders too. But now my number's up, my lad, for I've gone and caught the flu." It was the flu pandemic, and it swept the whole world wide. It caught soldiers and civilians, and they died. Whether lying in a trench or only lying in a bed, 20 million of them got it, and they're dead. Well, a nurse was in the hospital when Tommy was brought in. When he sneezed, she caught a faceful that was flying in the wind. She wrote a letter home to England to tell them of her plight, but the letter never got there 'cause the postman died that night. It was the flu pandemic, and it swept the whole world wide. It caught soldiers and civilians, and they died. Whether lying in a trench or merely lying in a bed, 20 million of them got it, and they're dead. From the meadowlands of Somerset and o'er the bounding main to the shores of old America, they sing the same refrain. Mothers, fathers, uncles, aunts, a niece and nephew too. Brothers, sisters, bosses, all were struck down by the flu. It was the flu pandemic, and it swept the whole world wide. It caught soldiers and civilians, and they died. Whether lying in a trench or merely lying in a bed, 20 million of them got it, and they're dead. Welcome. Well, can you think of a more appropriate number to open Songs That Are Worse Than the Disease? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Byron Nilsson. Malcolm Kogut is here. And that song is by Greg Henkel, a member of the Flying Fish Sailors. And that song actually dates, I think, from the 1970s or maybe 80s. And it's obviously a very original-minded group who, as they've noted, tend to get rediscovered every time there's some kind of a pandemic. So they had a little resurgence with the swine flu, and now people are discovering this number as well. So we hope you're sequestered with someone you love. If not, well, that explains the rise in domestic violence cases, I suppose. However, you will probably, if foolishly, be allowed to go out on the prowl before too very long to find that companionship. The thing is, with the effects that this disease is just waiting to share, I think you might want to sort of, your goal might not be so much long term. You might be looking for the sort of the quick romance. And for that short term idea, we have a song. That's probably no surprise. And this is a good incentive from the 1920s, and we have Cole Porter to thank for this. We're all alone, no chaperone to get our number. The world birds in slumber. Let's misbehave. There's something wild about you, child, that's so contagious. Let's be outrageous. Let's misbehave. When Adam won Eve's hand, he wouldn't stand for teasing. He didn't care about those apples out of season. They say that spring means just one thing to little lovebirds. We're not above birds. Let's misbehave. You could have a great career, and you should. Only one thing stops you, dear. You're too good. If you want a future, darling, why don't you get a past? 'Cause that fatal moment's coming at last. It's getting late, and while I wait, my poor heart aches on. Why keep the brakes on? Let's misbehave. I feel quite sure un peu d'amour would be attractive while we're still active. Let's misbehave. You know my heart is true, and you say you for me care. Somebody's sure to tell, but what the hell do we care? They say that bears have love affairs, and even camels. We're merely mammals. Let's misbehave. We're merely mammals. Let's misbehave. That's from 1927, from a show titled Paris, or since Cole Porter wrote it, it was probably titled Paris. That song is not part of the show Anything Goes, and Anything Goes itself went through many permutations before it even reached the stage, but it gave us hit songs like You're the Top and I Get a Kick Out of You and the title song. However, for a 1962 revival of the piece, they threw in a sort of a potpourri of the best of Cole Porter, which, you know, I think just ruins the integrity of a piece. So I'm not in favor of this. We lost some of the nice numbers that used to be at Anything Goes, but you're not here to hear about that crap. This is just the musical I mean, Broadway's dark. Broadway is dark. New York has been hit hard. My daughter is in exile from the Upper West Side. I mean, it's a good thing for her health, I think. It's also a good thing for us because she's directing this particular event. Thank you, Lily. And a lot of folks are in exile. You know, those lucky enough or well-heeled enough to get out of the city, and they're probably sharing the sentiments of the next song, which was also written by Cole Porter. Now, this song was famously recorded by Judy Garland in 1962. She gave it a big chorus and a lush orchestration, and it was just a little more over the top than I think the song requires, and so we're bringing it back down to earth. I happen to like New York. I happen to like this town. I like the city air and I like to drink of it. The more I know New York, the more I think of it. I like the sight and the sound and even the stink of it. I happen to like New York. I like to go to Battery Park and watch those liners booming in. I often ask myself, why should it be they should come so far from across the sea? I suppose it's because they all agree with me. They happen to like New York. On Sunday afternoon, I took a trip to Hackensack. But when I gave Hackensack the once over, I took the next train back. I happen to like this bird. I happen to love this town. And when I have to give the world my last farewell, and the undertaker starts to ring my funeral bell, I don't want to go to heaven, don't want to go to hell. I happen to like New York. I happen to like New York. Glad we finally finally got a chance to get that one in there. I've been wanting to do that song for a long time.
Sean likes your vest.
Thank you, Sean. My vest has been complimented, which is good because it's rolling up over the COVID poundage that has been accumulated. You know, we're all making bread, right? I mean, there's got to be a reason there's no flour or yeast in the shops. Now, but nobody suffers more during an economic depression than the biggest corporate entities. At least that's how it always seems. They get massive bailouts, as is happening now, while the working stiffs get shafted. Well, 40 years ago, the Chrysler Corporation was tanking. That was the nation's third largest automaker, and so the argument was, you can't let us go under, and they didn't. Congress gave it, $1.5 billion. And Chrysler's grateful chairman, Lee Iacocca, who formerly had developed Ford's exploding Pinto, cooperated on his end by, reducing the employee numbers by union busting and other, those corporate trademark activities. Fortunately, Tom Paxton was on hand at the time to document this, and he wrote a song that never, unfortunately, loses its timeliness. Oh, the price of gold is rising out of sight, and the dollar is in sorry shape tonight. What a dollar used to get us now won't buy a head of lettuce. No, the economic forecast isn't bright, but amidst the clouds I spot a shining ray. I begin to glimpse a new and better day. I've devised a plan of action, worked it down to the last fraction, and I'm going into action here today. I am changing my name to Chrysler. I am going down to Washington, D.C. I will tell some power broker what you did for Iacocca would be perfectly acceptable to me. I am changing my name to Chrysler. I am leaving for that great receiving line. And when they hand $1 million grand out, I'll be standing with my hand out. Yes, sir, I'll get mine. When my creditors come screaming for their dough, I'll be proud to tell them all where they can go. They won't have to scream and holler, they'll be paid to the last dollar, where the endless streams of money seem to go. I'll be glad to show them all what they can do. It's a matter of a simple form or two. It's not just remuneration, it's a liberal education. Aren't you kind of glad that I'm in debt to you? And I'm changing my name to Chrysler. I am going down to Washington, D.C. I will tell some power broker what you did for Iacocca would be perfectly acceptable to me. I am changing my name to Chrysler. I am leaving for that great receiving line. And when they hand $1 million grand out, I'll be standing with my hand out. Yes, sir, I'll get mine. Since the first amphibian crawled out of the slime, we've been struggling in an unrelenting climb. We were hardly up and walking before money started talking, and it said that failure is an awful crime. It's been that way a millennium or two. Now it seems that there's a different point of view. If you're a corporate Titanic and your failure is gigantic, down in Congress there's a safety net for you. And I'm changing my name to Chrysler. I am going down to Washington, D.C. Every fight we carry on will get us rid of Mitch McConnell, and that's perfectly acceptable to me. I am changing my name to Chrysler. I am leaving for that great receiving line. And when they hand $1 million grand out, I'll be standing with my hand out. Yes, sir, I'll get mine. when they hand $1,000,000 out, I'll be standing with my hand out. Yes, sir, I'll get mine.
Thank you, Tom Paxton.
Now Tom Paxton has rewritten that on some occasions, so I'd like to think that he won't mind my little bit of a wishful update myself.
Perhaps in, response to Chrysler's money taking, Deborah appreciates the change jar, which I think is.
We've had the acknowledgement of our tip jar. It's a real tip jar. Of course, you're in virtual land, but there is a way to remunerate us. And time to time, Lily will flash onto the screen a little chyron with the vital information. So, going back to the issue of sequestration, Tom Paxton also took on that topic of what can happen even if you are holed up with someone you love. I changed the intro. You did. Not tonight, Marie. It's been a day of deals gone down and bills to pay. A lousy boss, a double cross, and golden chances slipped away. I'm tired, Marie, and so depressed. I hid my eyes while you undressed. It's been a long, hard day for me. I'm tired. So not tonight, Marie. Not tonight, Marie. Your hands are cold. I almost feel I'm growing old. A few less hairs, the need for chairs, a dread of having fortunes told. You're lovely, love, I'm proud to say, but please don't wear that negligee. You're lying much too close to me. I'm tired, so not tonight, Marie. Not to God, Marie, I've got no chance. You simply cast that sidelong glance. You scent the room with sly perfume and let your lovely fingers dance. Your lovely lingering fingernails, a heartless trick that never fails. Some night they won't get through to me, oh no. But not tonight, Marie. Not tonight, Marie, the full moon shines. I'm showing all the danger signs. To hell with rest, I'll beat my chest. I'll swing across the room on vines. Marie, I don't care where or how. Marie, you've purely had it now. Some night you won't get through to me, by God. But not tonight, Marie. Everything okay in the tech world there?
I was looking for an emoji.
Oh, Lily's sitting there grimacing. I'm looking over. She's and she's like this. I'm thinking, what the hell? The feed has just gone south again or something. And I'm trying to give up this song and feel the tense emotion in that, and she's going.
You have to ignore me. It's because Chris and Bob said hi to me, and I wanted to wave back to them. I couldn't find the
She's having a
hi
deep
emoji.
involvement with the chat line. So leave comments and distract her. Happy Mother's Day. Yep. Or if you're watching this after the fact, Merry Christmas, or whatever the holiday is that close by on your calendar. But for us right now, it's Mother's Day, and we've got to salute Mom in song. And I know you've been waiting for this. How are Byron and Malcolm going to really honor our collective mother? Well, we've got an Ivor Novello song to remind us of at least one mother's remarkable presence. that all night, you know. I seem to be the victim of a cruel jest. It dogs my footsteps with the girl I love the best. She's just the sweetest thing that I have ever known. But still we never get the chance to be alone. My car will meet her, and her mother comes too. It's a two-seater, still her mother comes too. At Zero's, when I am free, for dinner, supper, or tea, she likes to shimmy with me, and her mother does too. We buy her trousseau, and her mother comes too. Ask not to do so, still her mother comes too. She simply can't take a snub. I go and sulk at the club, then have a bath and a rub, and her brother comes too. We lunch at Maxim's, and her mother comes too. How large a snack seems when her mother comes too. And when they're visiting me, we finish afternoon tea. She likes to sit on my knee, and her mother does too. To golf we started, and her mother came too. 3 bags I carted when her mother came too. She fainted just off the tee. My sweetheart whispered to me, thank God, at last we are free. Then, you want to just sing it with me? Her mother came too. You know who you can find singing that on YouTube? Not to draw you away from us, but Johnny Mathis in his repertory. And Bobby Short used to sing that. It's also in the movie Gosford Park, so it has some little currency. Now, have you noticed that the current crop of COVID-related commercials all seem somehow the same? There's a theme that has been developing, and it's something we hardly want to be left out of. When we first started performing together in 1985, we made a promise to you and a promise to ourselves that we would always be here for you. And we always have been here for you for 35 years. Right now, we continue to do what we've always done. It's always been about people like you, about families. And even now, especially now, today more than ever, in times like these, times of great uncertainty, in this unprecedented moment in our history, while things have slowed down and we turn more inside, with the distance between us seeming to grow ever larger, we are finding ways to stay connected, to touch each other, without you having to leave the safety of your home. Byron and Malcolm are here to help. We are here for you. We're with you. You can count on us. And we'll get through this together. Applause. No, there is applause at that moment on all of those commercials. There's applause and probably a dog. We should have had a dog here for this to really drive the point. But you understand. you understand us. You understand our message. Oh, shut up. History teaches us that it's not pandemics that always wipe out people. People wipe out people, and people do that with some inordinate amounts of glee. So we have here what is described as a characteristic and descriptive march illustrating the Battle of Johnstown, New York. We also have it on good authority that almost none of what's described herein actually took place. Nevertheless, we will share Thendera, or March of the Iroquois Wolf Clan by J. Emilus Bliven, complete with the published narrative. That's what I'm going to be reading you. I'm not making this shit up. I'm enhancing it a little. We begin at the garrison of Johnstown and people asleep. The rumbling of the Tory butler's artillery over the frozen roads. The crash of cannon and musketry. Alarm bells of Johnstown. Crowds rushing from the town to fight the Tory invader and his redskin allies. This is a battle. One of the things Malcolm does because he loves you is he does not take any of the repeats. A bugle call. Well, thereabouts. Colonel Marinus Willits and Daniel Morgan's Rangers to the rescue. Hail to them, hail again, Daniel Morgan and Morgan's men. Evidently not sure whether to fight or to dance. Battle is over. Butler is beaten and dead. We hear the Wolf Clan dirge. But evidently they thought better of it because suddenly the Red Terror is in full flight. Johnstown and the Mohawk Valley are saved. There's a fermata over the final measure ending. Oh, yeah. Evidently, you're just supposed to wait, I guess, to give you time to drink all that in. You know, speaking of this Mohawk Valley, which is where we are, Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, gave a talk in Fort Plain, New York, not far from Johnstown, on December 19th, 1868. It was part of what he called his American Vandals tour, and it consisted more or less of him reading from his yet-to-be-published book, Innocents Abroad, which is the book that would put him on the map. When he was in Fort Plain, he met George W. Elliott, who was the associate editor of the Fort Plain-based Mohawk Valley Register. And Elliott was known for his turgid verse, such as Bonnie Eloise, which became a popular song, and The Dead Canary, a story of a bird named Lily, who succumbs to a melancholy death after her eggs are crushed by mysterious fate. Now, I have been unable to find anywhere a copy of the complete Dead Canary, and you should all be very thankful of that. Because I did find the last stanza, and I'm going to lay that on you. Ye murderers, unawed by fear, who bend at Herod's crimson shrine, turn once a scaleless vision here, and view this lifeless bird of mine. Then in your hell-born purpose pause, forsake the path so reckless trod, lest while ye scoff at nature's laws, ye feel the withering curse of God. Elliott began deluging Twain with verse and song, trying to get some manner of praise out of the writer. Well, Twain wrote to his wife-to-be, Olivia Langdon, that was not about to happen. As Twain put it, he wrote 3 times for an opinion of the dead Canary, you remember, and several times about that whining summer complaint of a song about some Mohawk wench's golden hair. I meant it for a solemn truth when I said his poetry was bad, but he cannot believe it. I do so long to drop him a line that would give him exquisite anguish, but I can't waste powder on such small game as that. He threatens to destroy me by means of a withering review of my book in his little one-horse paper which a couple of hundred Mohawk Dutchmen spell their way through once a week. This fellow's idea of his importance trenches upon the sublime. It is the calmest, serenest, ironclad, asinine complacency the world has ever produced. Do you know, that creature is oozing his poetical drivel from his system all the time. No subject, however trivial, escapes him, and he dotes upon. He worships. He passionately admires every sick rhyme his putrid brain throws up in its convulsions of literary nausea. Here's that golden-haired wench. You will have an opportunity to sing, because it's a 4-part harmony chorus, and we will thoughtfully provide the music for you. Body Eloise. Oh, sweet is the vale where the Mohawk gently glides on its clear winding way to the sea. And dearer than all storied streams on earth besides is this bright rolling river to me. But sweeter, dearer, yes, dearer far than these, who charms where others all fail, is blue-eyed Bonnie Eloise, the belle of the Mohawk Vale. Join in. But sweeter, dearer, yes, dearer far than these, who charms where others all fail, is blue-eyed Bonnie Eloise, the belle of the Mohawk Vale. We cut verse 2. Oh, sweet are the moments when dreaming I roam through my love haunts now mossy and gray, aren't they always? And dearer than all is my childhood's hallowed home that is crumbling now slowly away. But sweeter, dearer, yes, dearer far than these, who charms where others all fail, is blue-eyed Bonnie Eloise, the belle of the Mohawk Vale. But sweeter, dearer, yes, dearer far than these, who charms where others all fail, is blue-eyed Bonnie Eloise, the belle of the Mohawk Vale. Okay, we got through that one. You know, songs of the 19th century tended to offer unbridled, unashamedly sentimental nostalgia like that one, or moral instruction through the infliction of frequent and usually unexplained deaths. Last performance, we had drownings in Asleep at the Deep, and we had We had alcoholic poisoning in the temperance songs we did, and we're still working on In the Baggage Coach Ahead. That'll be coming up. That's a doozy. Things eased as we entered the 20th century, obviously. And here's a number from 1926 that it seems to want to be an art song. It seems to want to frighten the children. It seems to want to tell a fairy tale, although it never really pays off any of the fairy tale elements that it presents. But the fact that it was penned by songwriters named Wolseley Charles and Great X Newman already tells us that we're going to enjoy this one. Once upon a time lived a fair princess, both beautiful and charming. Her father, the king, was a wicked old thing with manners most alarming. And always on the front door mat a most ferocious dragon sat. It made such a fearful shrieking noise that all you little girls and boys beware. Take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails. He'll feed with greed on little boys, puppy dogs, and big fat snails. Then off to his lair each child he'll drag, and each of his 13 tails he'll wag. Beware, take care, and creep off on tiptoes. Then hurry up the stairs and say your prayers, and dot your heads, your pretty curly heads, beneath the clothes, the clothes, the clothes. That dragon, he lived for years and years, but he never grew much thinner. For lunch he'd try a policeman pie or a roast MP for dinner. One brave man went round with an axe to try to collect his income tax. That dragon, he smiled with fiendish glee and softly murmured, R.I.P. beware. Take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails. He'll feed with greed on little boys, puppy dogs, and big fat snails. Then hurry up his lair, each child he'll drag, and each of his 13 tails he'll wag. Beware, take care, and creep off on tiptoes. Then hurry up the stairs and say your prayers, and dot your heads, your pretty curly heads, beneath the clothes, the clothes, the clothes. That dragon went down to the kitchen one day where the fair princess was baking. He ate by mistake some rich plum cake that the fair princess was making. That homemade cake he could not digest. He moaned and he groaned and at last went west. And now his ghost with bloodshot eyes at midnight clanks his chains and cries, beware, take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails. He'll feed with greed on little boys, puppy dogs, and big fat snails. Then off to his lair each child he'll drag, and each of his 13 tails he'll wag. Beware, take care, and creep off on tiptoes. Then hurry up the stairs and say your prayers, and dot your heads, your pretty curly heads, beneath the clothes, the clothes, the clothes. Thanks. How well did you prepare for this pandemic? I mean, people yeah, you're in good shape?
Since January.
Absolutely.
It's not coming.
People cleared the shelves of toilet paper, of course. That's come in handy, hasn't it? Now we have shortages of flour and sugar and yeast and meat, of course, but that's more a product of the meat packing industry, which is all. It's so horrible that you're getting these diseases are just flowing through those places, and they're being ordered to stay open. Well, that's smart. Upton Sinclair had no idea.
Oh, we're back in the jungle.
The jungle. Well, as Boy Scouts long ago, once upon a time, Malcolm and I learned the value of observing their well-known motto, be prepared. Be prepared. That's the Boy Scouts marching song, be prepared. As in life you march along, be prepared to hold your liquor pretty well. Don't write naughty words on walls if you can't spell. Be prepared to hide that pack of cigarettes. Don't make book if you cannot cover bets. Keep those reefers hidden where you're sure that they will not be found. And be careful not to smoke them when the scoutmaster's around, for he only will insist that they be shared. Be prepared. Be prepared. That's the Boy Scout's solemn creed. Be prepared. And be clean in word and deed. Don't solicit for your sister, that's not nice, unless you get a good percentage of her price. Be prepared. And be careful not to do your good deeds when there's no one watching you. If you're looking for adventure of a new and different kind, and you come across a Girl Scout who is similarly inclined, don't be nervous, don't be flustered, don't be scared. Be prepared.
Thank you, another Tom.
Yes, that's Tom Lehrer's work, of course, and his clarion voice also offered a wistful portrait of a community figure who may, at this moment, be more important than ever. When the shades of night are falling, comes a fellow everyone knows. It's the old dope peddler, spreading joy wherever he goes. Every evening you will find him around our neighborhood. It's the old dope peddler, doing well by doing good. He gives the kids free samples because he knows full well that today's young innocent faces will be tomorrow's clientele. Here's a cure for all your troubles. Here's an end to all distress. It's the old dope peddler with his powdered happiness.
Oh, wow.
Susan pretends not to enjoy these things sometimes with my wife, you know. Well, welcome to the New Depression. And, you know, we're doing just as badly as you, if not more so, since we're in the arts. So if our Chiron appears with some Venmo and PayPal info, why, rush to your computer. Well, no, you're already there. What am I saying? Anyway, record-breaking unemployment rates means that we'll be seeing breadlines again soon, except that everybody's hoarding the wheat, so the flour. So during this and some subsequent performances, because we're planning on doing more of these, we're going to dip into some of the vintage Depression songs to see how they reflect upon the new Depression. And Here's one. Here's one of the more memorable ones, I think. It's from a Billy Rose review. Billy Rose had quite a reputation as a showman, a diminutive showman. He was 5'3". And this is from a review of his called Casino de Paris, which was named for a music hall in Paris, which opened the show. Rose's review opened in 1934. I can't stop telling you this stuff. It's just, it's got to come out, or I get, boils. Rose described his review as featuring the usual 50 showgirls in 49 costumes. And we have a cover of this next song for you, I think, and you can see the suggestion of pulchritude thereon. This was performed at a Midtown theater that eventually became Studio 54. Yeah, that's about it. It was about worth one. It was worth one. Huh. Okay. So, anyway, here's a song from that review. It's a song for the uneasy investor. And what more can I say? Better shut up. I get up at 9, read the morning news, while a hurdy-gurdy plays a St. Louis blues. Then from 10 to 3, there is no escape from the tick of the ticker tape. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Grab a taxi cab, get a bite to eat, where the food is either sour or much too sweet. Then pick up a phone and call up a she. I don't care for her, she doesn't care for me. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters. Like the pounding of the hammer is the clatter and the clamor of Manhattan's panorama. Got the jitters. Get my broker, buy 100,000 shares of tapioca. Get Chicago on the wire, hello Mr. McIntyre, tapioca going higher, got the jitters. Bought a penthouse with a view, haven't had a chance to see the view. Bought a shiny Cadillac, always take a taxi there and back. Got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters. From the moment when I get up on the go without a let-up waiter, bring another setup. Got the jitters. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You want me to come in, don't you? I'm trying to get him to play. Okay, bridge. Bought a penthouse with a view, haven't had a chance to see the view. Bought a shiny Cadillac, always take a taxi there and back. Got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters, got the jitters. From the moment that I get up on the go without a let-up waiter, bring another setup. Got the jitters. Like a million other critters who are not exactly quitters, I'm a much bewildered man who's got the jitters.
That was fun.
Oh, the subsequent songs we come up with are not going to be that much fun. I mean, we got to hit Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And what was that other one? Cheer Up, Smile, Nerds. I'm still looking for the sheet music for that one. That Eddie Cantor sang that. Well, Eddie Cantor sang this next song, and it's by Walter Donaldson and Gus Kahn. It was introduced by Cantor in the 1934 film Kid Millions, where he sang it to a group of street urchins. There is a ship that sails the sea for little folks like you and me. It carries all our dreams, our little hopes and schemes. I've got a ship that sailed away, it's coming home someday. I'll have a golden castle, grand and tall, with 18 butlers standing in the hall, and Walter Disney paintings on the wall. When my ship comes in, I'll leave the choice of autos up to you. And if you think a big Rolls Royce will do, I'll play it safe and maybe order two when my ship comes in. I'll buy Barnum and Bailey and move them right next door. They'll give 10 performances daily for the kids who never saw a show before. In golden chairs we'll sip our tea for two. I'll have Paul Whiteman there to play for you. I'll have Bing Crosby singing boo, 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 when my ship comes in. I'll buy out every ice cream factory so all the kids can come and get in free. And I'll throw all the spinach in the sea when my ship comes in. I'll buy up all the public schools in sight, and all day long I'll have them closed up tight. But they'll be used as picture shows at night when my ship comes in. I'll have suits made to measure. In fact, I'll buy a store. And can you imagine the pleasure wearing shoes that no one ever wore before? I'll phone each department store and say, call up your Santa Claus and raise his pay, and tell him we'll have Christmas every day when my ship comes in.
It's a sweet song.
Yeah, it's uncharacteristically nice for us. I don't know what got into us. Well, we're going to finish. Kind of. We're going to finish with a song to salute those who aren't champing at the bit to go out, to get themselves diseased. Not all of us need nightclubs and dance halls, especially as Cole Porter described this creation of his, a rather disagreeable young lady who throughout her long and checkered existence resolutely refused to dance. Senorita Nina from Argentina knew all the answers, although her relatives and friends were perfect dancers. She swore she'd never dance a step until she died. She said, I've seen too many movies, and all they prove is too idiotic. They all insist that South America's exotic, whereas it couldn't be more boring if it tried. She added firmly that she hated the sound of soft guitars beside a still lagoon. She also positively stated that she could not abide a southern moon. She said, I hate to be pedantic, but it drives me nearly frantic when I see that unromantic, sycophantic lot of sluts sort of wriggling their guts. It drives me absolutely nuts. She refused to begin the beginning when they requested it. And she made an embarrassing scene if anyone suggested it, for she detested it. Though no one ever could be keener than little Nina? I'm quite a number, a very eligible man who did the rumba. When they proposed to her, she simply left them flat. She said that love should be impulsive, but not convulsive, and syncopation had a discouraging effect on procreation, and that she'd rather read a book, and that was that. Senorita Nina from Argentina despised the tango, although she never was a girl to let a man go. She wouldn't sacrifice her principles for sex. She looked with scorn on the gyrations of her relations who did the conga, and swore that if she had to stand it any longer, she'd lose all dignity and wring their silly necks. She said that frankly she was blinded to all their over-advertised romantic charms. And then she got more bloody-minded and told them where to put their tropic palms. And she could not refrain from saying that their idiotic swaying and their damn guitars playing were an insult to her race. And that she really couldn't face such international disgrace. She declined to begin the beguine when they besought her to. And in language profane and obscene, she cursed the man who taught her to. She cursed Cole Porter too. From this it's fairly clear that Nina, in her demeanor, was so offensive that when the hatred of her friends grew too intensive, she thought she'd better beat it while she had the chance. After some trial and tribulation, she reached the station and met a sailor who had acquired a wooden leg in Venezuela, and so she married him because he couldn't dance. There surely never could have been a more irritating girl than Nina. They never speak in Argentina of this degenerate bambina who had the luck to find romance, but resolutely wouldn't dance. She wouldn't dance. Hola! Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to Lily Whiteman for running the board, directing our operations. For Susan Whiteman, we're in our bedroom. We've tried to give you a different, location with each one of these, and
It's a historic bedroom.
it's a historic bedroom. I'm going to have her explain to me later why. It's probably not the reason I'm thinking. But we before we say goodnight, we've kept you for too long. We'll send you away with a song, one more that's somehow all the more appropriate now. I mean, where would you rather be right now? I mean, if you're champing at the bit to get back to work, just think back to work and what you're thinking when you're at work and where you're really longing to be. And that's what this song is about. It's by Flanders and Swann. The subject I wish to consider tonight comes under the general head, without an iota of double entendre, so no dirty sniggers of bed. Though everything else has been treated at length in the various books I have read, Spinoza, the Rochefoucauld, Schiller, and Kant say practically nothing on bed. So I founded a new philosophical school, of which you have probably heard, propounding this thesis, the too early worm is the one that gets caught by the bird. Delightful, delectable pillow and sheet, luxurious eiderdown spread. Red hot water bottle bowed down at my feet. Oh, bountiful blessing of bed. To hell with ambition, it drives a man mad. I can scarcely wake up to be fed. The people who keep making plans for the land will find me if wanted in bed. You risers and shiners whose insults are hurled at my almost invisible head, consider the mess you have made of the world and stay out of mischief in bed. And stay out of mischief in bed. 6 monasteries hourly are saying a mass for a blessed relation now dead, who left me a blanket, electric no less, now an integral part of my bed. Oh, weep not ye maidens at solitary me, now left on the highest of shelves. Oh, seek not ye matrons my solace to be, but keep your cold feet to yourselves. Oh, purest of pleasure, voluptuous sleep, my eyelids are heavy as lead. Oh, soft, oh, delicious, oh, long